Hi, I would like to welcome all of you to this new series where I'm sharing my Visualforce knowledge with all of you. And today we are going to cover a very specific use case, how you can call your Apex methods using JavaScript. So please watch this video till the end. If you have ever worked on the front end where you build pages, and so you may be aware of there is a common use case that you wanted to execute your action upon JavaScript event. So on the page you may have onchange, onclick, onkeyup, etc. events, and you wanted to call your action whenever that event occur on the page. So similar to that, we can also call our action that is in Apex controller from a JavaScript event. So let's find out how. So Visualforce provides you an attribute called ActionFunction, and using ActionFunction you can call your Apex method from the page based on the JavaScript event. So without further delays, let's quickly log in Salesforce and see how you can implement ActionFunction. Alright, so once you log in the URL, whatever you see afterforce.com or salesforce.com, remove that, add a slash, and then type Apex in the lowercase, again slash, and then type account search and hit enter. So we are going to create a new Visualforce page with account search name, and by this name you might have got an idea that this page allows user to search for an account. Alright, so we are going to use JavaScript event onkeyup event, and from that event, using that event, we will be calling the Apex method, right? Okay, so once you see this error message, click on this link to create account search page. If you are watching Visualforce video first time, and if you don't know how to create a page from the URL, then please watch my first episode where I'm explaining that we are using development mode, and so we are able to create and open a Visualforce using the URL. Okay, so this is the Visualforce that you are gonna create. In the first line, remove everything between the first and last line, and in the first line just type controller, because we want to add an Apex class as a controller, so it's a custom controller, so just controller. And then we're gonna follow the best practice, the naming convention guideline. So your page name, just copy that from the URL and then type controller and then click save. You do not have this class yet in your org, and therefore this code editor is allowing you to create this class. There are two options, one is with sharing, other one is without sharing. I mean, there is no with sharing option. We are gonna create a new class with sharing declaration. So use the first link, public with sharing class, and then you see now the two tabs. Left hand side is what your page, and the right hand side is the controller. Alright, now let me quickly get the code for the controller. And by the way, don't worry for the code, because I'm gonna upload this code on my GitHub repository, and I'm gonna provide the link in the video description, so you simply copy paste the code from the GitHub repo. All right, so let's review the code and understand each of these lines. So first line is just a class declaration. It's a widget sharing class, and account search controller is the name of the class. Line number 3 and line number 4 and line number 5. So these are the variables that you have declared in your controller class, and you are also declaring them with getter setter. You'll see there is a curly brace, get semicolon, set semicolon, and closing curly brace. So this is how you can declare variables, and you want to get the value from the controller to the page, and at the same time you also want to allow user to set the value from the page to the controller. All right, therefore we are just using get and set together. So first two are string type, and the third one, the line number 5, is a list of account type. All right, then line number 7 is the method, and it's a void method. That means it does not return anything. All right, find accounts is the method name. What you're doing is you have a SOQL query. All right, you have SOQL that queries account and trying to match account names, and you probably see we are using the like clause in our SOQL, and also we are concatenating the % symbol, so that we are just doing fuzzy search. Okay, not exact search but fuzzy search. So therefore we are just adding, we are joining % symbol before and after the search text. And then line number 13 is a public method. Get items is the name of the method, and this method returns list of select options. If you're not sure what's a select option, then so let me just tell you at the high level. Select option is basically when you want to display a list, or rather like sometimes you also want to display the drop down on your Visualforce. So that's all, it's a select option. All right, you can find out more about select option in the component reference here. All right, now in that method, first thing we are checking the search string is not blank or not null. All right, if it is blank, then we are not executing the further lines of code. And after that we are declaring a new list of select options, and we initialize that, and using for loop, if you notice, we got matched account list. So that's a list we are populating on the above method, right? And then we are simply preparing list of options by putting the name in the key as well as name in the value. So select option has got two attributes or two parameters, key value, right? So we are setting name as a key and value, and then we are returning that option. So that's what all happening in Apex class. Let's go back on the Visualforce, and also let me get the code for the Visualforce as well. All right, so first line is the page tag, and you also have a controller defined. It's a custom controller, it's an Apex class. Then line number 2 is the form tag. Then line number 4 is you are adding input text on your Visualforce, and the value, so basically it's input text. That means user will be able to set a value in input, right? And that value is basically you are setting in the search string variable. And if you remember, in on the controller we saw that it's a search string value set with get and set, right? So the value can be get on the page and also can be set from the page. And we are using onkeyup event, right? Find accounts. Obviously this is not the method we are calling here, all right? Don't get confused, or rather let me change the name. I can probably say that fetch accounts, okay? And let's go back here and okay. So find accounts is basically an action function name. Now if you notice line number 15, we're gonna read the other code later, but let's quickly go through the action function. Line number 15 action function is the action we are calling fetch accounts. Now that's the name of your Apex method, and then there is a name, it's a find accounts. That's what you are calling above in the on the JavaScript event, and then you are re-rendering, you are refreshing matched list. Okay, that's what all happening in this action function. All right, now let's quickly read the code from line number 5. So that's a BR tag, so that's basically line break. We are just using a line break gap. And then Apex output panel, we are giving the ID to this panel is matched list, and then in output panel we are simply rendering this panel if the search string is not null, and then the list that we are fetching, we are just displaying with a radio button, okay? And that's what you'll notice. The select radio, it's a selected account, okay? But then there is a select options, and if you remember, let me just go back on the Apex controller tab, and that's the select option is what we are referencing over there. It's get items. Get is a prefix, right? It items. So you notice we are just calling that method items, and that's what it's gonna display list of accounts that matches with the text that user will type in this input field above. All right, and then the closing of radio, select radio, and then closure of output panel, and then there is also another output panel at the bottom, and that's basically displays a message that because it's a radio, so once you select a radio, it says you selected whatever account that you select, that name will be displayed in that message. All right, and you notice there is another action function, what it does. So all right, first thing, if you look at the line number 8, select radio, there is also we are using onchange event. What's happening on onchange? We are simply calling an action function which name is display info, and that's right here. But in this action function, do we want to call an Apex method? The answer is no. So we are not using an action attribute on this action function, but we are simply re-rendering the output panel that we declare just below that. Okay, so you notice it's there is an ID display, and that's what we are re-rendering here. All right, and that's basically shows the name of the account that you select. Now let's save this. Let's type, and you notice the multiple accounts when I type TE, and if you notice it's onkeyup, the result of list of accounts is written from the Apex, but the event we are using is onkeyup. So as soon as you keep typing, it try to fetches those records in the backend and displays on the page. And let me click on this, and you notice it says that you selected this account. If I change it, you notice the text below it's getting updated. Alright, so it's all working. So in today's video, all we have covered is how you can call your Apex method from a JavaScript event on your Visualforce. And for that, we used action functions. And we also used rerender attribute. So that is basically going to refresh that specific component which you want the data should be updated into. I hope this video adds value to your Salesforce knowledge, and you must have learned something new from this video. If you are enjoying the content, please hit the like button and share this video with others. And if you are new to this channel and not yet subscribed, then please click the subscribe button and also the bell icon to get notified for all of my upcoming videos. So that is it for today. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week with a new learning topic. Happy learning.